Hi, it's Karen with the Star Card Tarot. I actually was so excited to come back. I had more messages coming in about thought into form, ideas into matter, and all that kind of stuff. So, a few videos back, I think around the start of the videos, I did a diagram of, like, say on one side, if there was an invisible line, there's one side there's particle matter, and on the other side there was practical matter, but they mirrored each other. But I want to look at it this way. So when I keep talking about bringing thought into form, this is kind of the visual that I often think about. Like, say up here, if there was particle matter, it's very far out and spaced out. Like, even above particle matter, there's no one, no thing, and no time and no place. So from here, we get little clusters of form, ideas, feelings, energy signatures, and those I feel like turn to thoughts. And then the thoughts turn into forms, and then it becomes physical matter. It was similar, I was drawing this diagram of a few of the early dimensions, and it's very similar to this, but just in a different perspective. So at 1D, it's just a point. Could even be a point of light. 2D is there's a plane. It can travel. It can have an expansion, but just in one direction. So very flat, two-sided. 3D is when there's light added. So when there's light added to something, we can see the form, and that's where the expansion comes. Then after that is 4D, where there's still that form because there's light added, but there's the awareness of the light added. So the difference between 3D and 4D is the awareness and understanding that there's light added. There's a parameter of that. 5D is jumping out of that parameter and basically kind of creating your own, shapes and forms, however you would feel like, because there's an awareness of the light added and the awareness of density, the form, the heaviness, like the from the lightest spiritual to the physical matter. So I was thinking about that, and I was like, okay, well, that, it seems like it's in chronological order, or, we kind of understand that. But I was really looking at 2D to 3D, and there is such a big shift in that. A very, very, very big shift from a point going, continuing to actually form, a very, very, very big jump. And I was looking at it, and I was really thinking about, that ideas and thought into matter. So I was thinking about infinite possibility. I just have to go over this in color. That's all good. Maybe I should have done this one a little bit darker. But anyways, I was thinking about that from no thing into infinite possibility. And how infinite possibility, how I was wondering, wondering how to deconstruct that. How does that happen? How do we do that? We hear a lot of people talking about that. So it goes from no one, no thing, no time, and no place, nowhere. So from nothing into possibility. And then so say if those were just like little particle specks of infinite possibility, then if it had to go, say, in a getting more weight, adding more density to make it into form, I figured after infinite possibility would perhaps come thought at some point down the line. So it was like those specks, those particle matters of infinite possibility, starting to move around and have motion and take direction, go on that, like almost like that 2D, that was almost like that two-dimensional plane of like one thing moving, taking motion. And, you know, we all know that the heavier, the denser the thing, the more that the molecules are bouncing off faster and faster, and, you know, versus something that's more light, more, you know, the particles are, there's more space in between and less action. So if, like, say if we did a close-up, it would be like, I was thinking, it was like, okay, well, if there's, if this was a magnification of these thoughts, what, again, that was that big jump of 2D to 3D, what is going on there? Because that 0 to 1 to 2, you know, that makes sense, but this was a big jump. And I was like, okay, so say if we magnified that and looked really close, what's happening there? And it's like this one particle, if it's moving in the direction towards another particle, and that other particle is moving in the direction of this particle here, it's like there has to be acknowledgement, there has to be a realization of the particles. And then what happens after that, say if it was still magnified, it's like that's what keeps happening, is the more that these particles are getting closer to each other, they're either going to repel off each other or go in the direction of each other. And that's what's kind of doing the clusters, and that's what is doing the form. So then the words that really came to my mind was the word merge, which means to lose or to make lose identity by absorption. It meant to unite. And then I looked at the word absorption, which means an absorbing or a great interest. So something that's, you know, like attracted and absorbed. And then I was thinking about the element mercury. It's that liquid metal element that you find in your thermometers, and, you know, we learned about stuff like that kind of in high school, right? But like kind of some of the basic elements. But if you haven't, it's a noun, and it's a heavy silver white metallic chemical element. And it's say if you cracked open a thermometer and you poured it out, the contents of that mercury, that it's that chemical element, is a gaseous metal. It forms in bubbles, and they're fractaled all over the place. And I drew a small little picture here. I should have did this a little bit darker, but yeah, I was trying to show about mercury. Like, say, for example, there would be a sphere and little small spheres around it or whatever. So I was thinking about the word absorption. I was thinking about the word, like the element mercury, and it really gloms together, it merges and mixes. But when those like elements attract to each other and merge together, mix together, form together, that, you know, there's expansion because the size is larger. And it was really making me think about, you know, the infinite nothing into possibility, into thought and ideas, and into form, into matter, right? So that was really, really, really good. Cool. So I just thought I'd share that with you guys because I know we've been talking about those concepts of like law of attraction and different things like that. So another thing that I've really realized was, say if you're putting out your manifestation, that's fine, but you really, like the real important part, like the most important part, like say even if you didn't ask for what you were hoping for, the universe always knows what you want anyways. So what the interesting part was the energy vibrations. And so this image here, this from nothing into ideas, into thought, into form, that's what I'm saying, that's that first manifestation. There's, you know, again, probably some invisible line, which is our mind, you know, and our perception of it, but it's that realizing it. So it was interesting because it was like a duplicate of when we look at something. If we can simply look at it without trying to add thought to it, just realize it, just notice it without judging it or labeling it or this or thating it, that's how we get our best energy flow, when it's general. Also, I'm noticing when we're putting out a general good energy out without being too specific, we get it all back in return, and in all those different specific tailored ways that we want. So anyways, I just wanted to share that. I hope you enjoyed, and there you go.